Welcome to Tycoon Plays Railroad Corporation. All right, hi, this is Tycoon and welcome to the start of a brand new series. We're going to do a cover for the brand new early access release game called Railroad Corporation. It's got trains, it's got supply and demand, it's got logistics, it's a business tycoon game. You know, it's right up our alley. So thought I'd give it a shot. Now, if any of you have, I start to say, if any of you are into watching gaming videos on YouTube, and if you're not, what are you doing here? But everybody and his second cousin has put out some videos on this new early release game, and early access game, excuse me. And as you know, I do things differently. I don't do Let's Play. So I have been spending the last few days playing through this game multiple times. I've actually played all of the missions probably at least 3 times, some of them multiple do-overs, just to try different strategies and what have you. So I think I've got a pretty good understanding of how the game works, so hopefully I'll be able to share that with you. And I'm showing you the screen just to emphasize that it's early access. There are bugs, there are awful bugs. There are there are plenty of things that they're going to do to it, I'm sure, but it shows promise. It shows promise. So let's get into it. So what I'm going to do, there you can see I'm on mission 4 of about the 4th or 5th time through this. So enough. Now we're not going to do the tutorial. We'll just start in the campaign, but I'm going to walk through and do a video on each of the campaign missions. There are 6 of them, and they do a nice job of layering on top of each other the concepts of the game. And so that'll work beautifully if we're going to try to kind of cover the concepts. So the first thing is, we are not the owners or the boss. We work for one of these 3 railroads. And when it says apply to, it means you just pick one. Who's going to be your sponsor? And they each, and really everything is the same, except that if you pick Picket Railroads, you get $10,000 at the beginning of each mission, kind of help you along the way. If you pick this Kane Eastern Railway, you'll get an extra locomotive at the beginning of the mission, so you will start with a locomotive. Now the cheapest locomotive is worth $14,000, so this one is certainly stronger than this one by a mile. The strongest one, in my opinion, would be Harrington's Railroad, because all your railroad laying costs are 10% less. Now on the very first mission, you probably wouldn't even notice it, but as you get into bigger missions and lay more and more track, getting 10% off will quickly, all you have to do is spend $140,000 on track and you've passed the value of this guy. So I really don't care. I'd almost rather take the hardest one, but it really doesn't matter. Let's do Harrington's Railroad. All right. And I could have changed my avatar up there too, but I don't care. All right, the first one's called Hot Steel for Cincinnati. So I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but basically it says we've got to find a steel mill and get it coal and iron, see what it needs, and then ship some steel off to Cincinnati. Now, this very first mission, we do not have all the functionality. We have a limited set of functionality, and they're kind of trying to teach us the concept. So you can kind of see how it's laid out. Up here's the time control, so I'm going to pause it while I talk. It's pretty, the user interface is not, I don't find it that difficult to use. I found it pretty easy to pick up. You want to buy a locomotive or set up lines, you do it there. Lay track, tear down track, and go to the game menu. Over here, you have your current objective, so it kind of shows you what is it you're supposed to be doing. A list of all the trains you're running, which of course we don't have any, all the buildings that you own, how you're doing financially, and then your research department, which is the first extra thing they give you. So to that end, let's talk about, you start in a particular city, sometimes just a little village, and you have your first train station already built for you and your headquarters. And that first train station acts as your depot, and you cannot place a depot anywhere else. So you have to build your track so that you can fire up all the lines you want to do out of here. So in our case, we're in Bowling Green, and this one is based on the area around Kentucky, kind of northern Kentucky, southern Ohio, and it's pretty accurate geographically, more or less. They kind of sort of have these little towns in about where they would be, except for this guy. I'm not sure how New Orleans got in this area, but well, be that as it may, though, it's just a little representation. The maps are not random generated, at least for now. They are preset with each mission. I don't mind that at all, but a lot of people will want random generation. All right, so what we got to do is understand, first of all, supply and demand. That's really, if you just want to throw down some track, run some trains, and hope, you can go one way. But if you want to figure out the game, this is what you need to understand. Each city will have a demand, the red, for certain objects or certain resources. So there's a demand and a supply for people. These are passengers on your trains. There's demand in Bowling Green. It's a small town. It wants wheat, coal, wood, and meat, surprisingly enough. So, and then it has a sawmill that's right here in the city, and that sawmill needs wood so that it can produce lumber. So what you need to do to grow a city is supply the stuff that it needs, including passengers, and as you supply these goods, the city will grow. So Bowling Green, if we look at it right now, is a population of 3,160, and we can see the demands, and the demands are always at 20. I'm not sure. Yeah, it always is. It's always 20. So you need 20 wood. You need 20 of this, 20, 20, 20. So if we wanted to, we could go out here, grab this wood, bring it over here to Bowling Green, and everything's done by train. So by train, we could bring the logs over, the wood over, supply our sawmill and our city, and those are different supplies, and that's a really important thing to understand. This wood right here is for the city, for city growth. This wood right here is for the sawmill, and when you set up a line, you have to tell it which one am I actually supplying. Now, the interesting thing about this one that makes it kind of a different is that these will change. The passengers will stay the same, and the sawmill would always want lumber, but these will change over time, and they kind of go in a hierarchy. The wheat will become meat. That's why I said it was kind of funny that the wheat and meat were both there. But cities will start out wanting wheat, then they'll want meat. They'll start out wanting coal, then the coal will kind of go away. And eventually they'll want tools. The logs will go away and be replaced by lumber as the city gets bigger. And then there are other items, there are luxury items that come along. Let's see if we can find a bigger city that wants something. Yeah, see, Cincinnati's our biggest city. You can kind of tell by the number of passengers, 3 out of 15. It's kind of a level 15 city. And it wants meat and lumber. There's your lumber that it wants. And here's passengers. So the one that's consistent really is the passengers. You can count on that staying. The idea that Bowling Green wants coal, it'll want coal for a while, and then when it gets big enough, it won't want coal anymore, and then you've got a line set up running coal into Bowling Green, and you're not sure why. Okay? So, all right, I know that's a lot of talking, but I just want us to actually understand what we're doing, not just slap stuff down here. So we know that the passengers will be consistent. We also get paid for passengers based on the length of the line. So I went into track laying mode, and I clicked on the this little thing on this end over here, and we're going to run a track up to Louisville, and we're going to go around this for a very definite reason. But basically, you just kind of drag it out. You click if you want to kind of set a point where it's going to stop, and then watch this. Whatever angle I come in to the station, it sort of orients itself toward the track. So you get to set where the station is, and you'll see something kind of cool when we lay this track, watch the city itself. Let's just go like that. Now, when we accept that, the whole city just sort of reorients itself around our track. So we just decided how the city of Louisville is going to look. And okay, so we set track up to run Bowling Green to Louisville. Now, I'm a double tracker all the way, but we don't necessarily, this game doesn't always give you, that's not always the way to go. So what I want to see if we can do, I want to see if we can get all the way up. I'm actually going to try something different. I want to see if we can get all the way to Cincinnati, which isn't different for me. I've done that before. 2770. Oh yeah, we can. We're good. All right, so we're going all the way to Cincinnati, and notice that they want lumber, and we've got a sawmill down here in our good buddy Bowling Green. So if we could get out there and grab that, start making lumber, and then ship that lumber up, we could actually make some money. Now let's look at the trains. Our first train is best friend. Now, man's best friend is a dog, and so is this train. It's the only thing we can use, and it's just, wow. It's a little go-kart, steam go-kart, that's what it is. But it's all we've got right now, and I'll show you how we're going to change that later. But here we go. We're going to add a station. Now we're going to set up a route. So when you buy a train, it gives you the option to set up the route for it. And what you can do is you can use this interface and say add a station, and pick which station you want to add and what have you. But for me, by far the easiest way is to go to the city itself that you want to talk about and say, okay, we're going to go start in Bowling Green, and we're going to have a passenger train. And that train's going to go, you notice it says we have 12 out of 40 tons, so it's 12 tons of passengers. That's not one person, that's one passenger car of people. And it says it can go 34 out of 35, so it can go its max speed. If we throw another one on there, now its speed drops because it's carrying a bigger load, 29 out of 35. Now if we throw a third one on there, the speed is down to almost nothing. So these little trains, so you could have got to decide, am I going really slow with a big load? Because that's the most we can get. If we throw one more, it's going to tell us we're overloaded. We can't, it just can't do it. So we're definitely dropping one, and we're actually going to drop another because that speed penalty was awful. It cut our speed in half. So we're going to say, okay, get that, and when you unload in Bowling Green, when you get back, unload passengers, because what we're going to do is go up here to Louisville, and well, let's see. Yeah, we'll go to Louisville, and we'll pick up 2 there, and we'll drop off 2. And notice how, because we're picking up and dropping off the same amount, our load is nice and balanced, and it can work. And we can add a station, and we can just hit apply, and boom, we've got a train running. So there goes our first train off Bowling Green to Louisville. And let's just go, take off. So we've got $31,000 left to play with. And what we can also do here is we can set up another train. Man, if I'd been thinking, I would have done it in the opposite order. It's not too late, but it's not a big deal either. Let's go from Louisville. Oh, and I want to do one more thing. I want to go back and adjust one more thing. Okay. So I'm going to apply that. I'm going to go back to that first train. And notice how these have the little hourglass. It means wait till you're full. I'm going to tell it that what you do really is you go if you can get them. This is the load. This is the unload. So I'm going to make it optional whether or not you have a full load. And notice I hit apply after I made the change. So now he just happens to have a full load. That's great. But now let's go to our other train. We've got a nice list up here. If we select it, we're going to also make it optional, because what you don't want are any trains sitting waiting in your station. It just does not work well to have trains sitting waiting in your station. So if I'd done that in the opposite order, I would have been much smarter, but I'm not going to fix it now. Could fix it still, but the Louisville to Cincinnati is actually waiting for this track to clear. Now, while he's in the station, the other one will come chugging up through here. Where is he? Oh, he's already up there. I'm sorry. Well, I missed him altogether. I don't know how that happened. Okay, so we've got basic trains running, giving us some revenue. And let's just see how we can get rid of those trains to get trains that actually work. All right, so we have our office. Our office has a railroad laying department. That comes with default. And what we want to do is add research and development. But we need more rooms in our office. We need to expand our office. So we're going to upgrade one time. And now we can install an R&D department. So now we have the opportunity to do R&D. So let's talk about what is research and development in this game. Now, you'll notice this is all I can do here. There will be much more options for expanding our offices later. But we can go to R&D, and I'm going to pause it again because I'll blab right through it. Now, it's really all about the trains. Our R&D, what we research are the trains. Right now, you only see two available. The one we've got now, and the next one in the queue, the next more advanced train, which is the John Bull. And just like other games that we all know and love, we absolutely want to go off of the dog and go over here to the John Bull. So I'm not going to worry with any of this research. We're going to start all locomotives power, which will give our existing ones more power, and will open up the door for us to go research the John Bull. And we have 10 research scientists. When I clicked it, one was assigned. We're actually going to put all 10 of them. This is not efficient. You get diminishing gains from each one, but that's okay because I just don't care about any of this stuff. We're going to get all locomotives power as quickly as we can and move to the John Bull. So now our research is queued up and we are researching the John Bull. So let's just keep this running. What do we got? We got $11,000. There we go. And it can be a little slow, but here we go. Let's watch what happens when we get these passengers in here. You can see we made some good money. We paid some money, but now we need one thing we really, really need. We need to have some repairs. So we've got, at each of our stations, they come automatically with a filling station, which is where they get the trains get their supplies. And if you'll notice the routes on our trains, the routes have the services and it's automatically kind of checked. Got that little infinity sign or circle, which means always go there or just constantly, every chance you get, do that. So basically that's by default. You get services, this one service, which is the fill up. But what you don't get by default are repairs, and these trains have to be maintained where they will break down and they'll stay blocking your track for a long, long time. So we need a new facility in our station. So we need more space. We're going to upgrade, then we're going to hit new facility, and we're going to put in a repair shop. Now this repair shop in Louisville, strategically placed, I guess, because now what we can do is go to our first train and the Bowling Green to Louisville and say, when you get to Louisville, we're going to, look, if I click it once, you get the little number. If I click it again, I get that, which means automatically go in every time you can and get service, okay? And now here's a key thing. Keep this in mind. You have to hit apply after you make any changes to a route. Otherwise, you're just playing with it. You're not really doing anything. So now we've got this train set up to be serviced. We can go get our second train, do the same thing. Notice now it's Louisville's the first one in the order. We'll double click it, hit apply. Now both of our trains are set up to have service. So now here we go. Now we've got two trains. See, there you go. Our train one is being serviced as we speak, and it'll go through its service routine and go on. Now what we can do is upgrade that for example, the repair, we can install a second repair shop, which will allow 2 trains to be repaired at the same time, which is great. And if we upgraded it just again, then we could go in and increase our filling speed. We can have faster maintenance. Let's do that one. We'll do faster maintenance. So now we've got a little better service there. And that one's going to be central. It's going to service both these passenger lines. So we're going to have to just let it run for a bit and make some money. I just spent a bunch of money there. I could have done without. Didn't really have to do those upgrades. You notice we upgraded it big enough to get a second line to come out of here. Each of the stations can have 3 lines that come into a main pot. And if you look at them when you're doing like a setup, see this, they all come into the same line, so that you can really use your station as a junction, to connect lines coming in from all different directions. They get there and they can go out on any of the tracks on either side. Well, there, we got our R&D done. Oh, there we had our mission objectives. Now, we are supposed to be delivering iron ore and coal. And we also get a bonus that if we go really fast, and I'm telling you, this is really fast, you get a bonus, and what this is experience. And we'll get experience if we successfully do the mission, and all these points will accumulate, and we'll spend them before we go into our next mission. It'll make us a stronger, oh, good. So I missed it. Our research changed, and now we're going to go to John Bull, and again, we're going to put everybody on it because there's nothing else to research with that until that one is turned on. When that's turned on, then we can start improving the John Bull. But right now, we're just waiting on cash. And this T1 right here, Bowling Green to Louisville. Now, here's, I would call this defect number, we'll call it number 1. This train is set up to not require these to be here. It's got one loaded, and it's just sitting there. And it'll probably sit there until it gets another one before it goes. They need to fix that. They're inconsistent in how they behave. As I said, very early access, lots of bugs. That to me has to be a bug. In fact, that one may not move at all. I have seen them at times where, because this says skip to the next station, doesn't do anything. This needs a little love. And a lot of the trains I've actually had to, when they get to this, in this mode, I've had to scrap them and replace them because this train may never move again. It may just sit there. In fact, I believe that's what's going to happen. But the good news is we've got our John Bull. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy. We're going to copy him. That means copy his route into a John Bull. We're going to have to overdraft. We don't have quite enough money. And then we are going to scrap this train. So now we've replaced that T1 with a John Bull. And it looks to me like, now see that the game is not ready for prime time. It's still sitting there, isn't it? We're going to have to scrap it too. I've tried everything. I've tried throwing the people off. All right, so now we've just wasted a whole bunch of money. We've wasted a whole bunch of time, and we're missing a train. Oh well. When this one gets back and we need 23,000 to run a John Bull. It's well worth it to have it. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to have to take some credit, which is expensive, about 7% interest. But we're going to take an overdraft. You can go as low as 50,000. If you get below 50,000, guess what? You're done. You are fired. So that's what she's telling us. Don't go. You're spending all your money. So we're going to set up a route for this train from Bowling Green, and I wish there was a key you could hit to select those as optional, you know, where they don't have to be there. We'll unload those, we'll load, and now that I think about it, we'll go back here. The great thing is, by having the John Bull, we can run a twice as big a load. We want to make sure we notice when I hit the unload, it brings me up the unload for Louisville. Whoops. And load. So we want 4 and 4, but I want them all to be optional so we don't have trains just stuck. Although we saw how well that worked a minute ago. And we're going to set up its service and go. There we go. There we go. And so we want to do the same thing up here with this number 12, or sorry, train 2. We want to copy it to a John Bull. Yes, we'll take along. And we're going to scrap this train. So this train 2 up here, it didn't work at all, did it? It's still a best friend. Copy. John Bull, yes. Oh, I see what I did. Dumb. I actually copied it and then scrapped the wrong one. So I'm going to scrap the best friend. Now we've got... Sorry, user error, dumb. So let's see. Now we have a couple of John Bulls running. And this one we want to make sure we have a full-blown 4. So we should start seeing 4 passengers on these in both directions. There we go. Now we should start making some money. And he says that as he goes broke. Alright, so partially the problem with that T1 sticking up there, and partially user error as I did the copy and then proceeded to scrap the one I just copied. So I threw away a bunch of money and time. Great job. But here we go. Now we got some money coming in. So what we want to do here, well, what I really want to do is double track this line. I have tried passing lanes. They don't do what you would expect because they will allow the trains to kind of come toward you. Yeah, I guess they do. Let's try a passing lane. Shoot. Like that. And they won't let us do anything while this train is on the line we're trying to hook up to. But as soon as we get him, T4 comes into the Bowling Green. So there we go. He's past it. There we go. So the first thing we can do here is take our train 4 and let him get up here a ways, and then we'll copy him. Now these trains going in the same direction, they will both go. However, they trail each other by a significant amount, so you cannot get a lot of traffic on these lines. It's not like, this is not like games where you're running 5-6 trains through here. Maybe 4 with double track would be about pretty long distance. You could get away with 4 to 6. Shorter routes, a couple of trains. That's about it. There's just not that much space. I do want to copy this train as well. See, you can see how much our money has picked up. And speaking of that, let's get back to our research and let's start making the John Bull even better, because we want it as good as we can get it for this mission, and that research will carry on to the next one. So I queued up 5 things, and I'll double up each one of them. So we'll have two scientists working on each one, and we've got 5 researchers queued up, and we're still doing okay on the money, so we're doing all right. And I would like to have double track up here. You know what? We're going to make a little double track on either side of the bridge and avoid that expense. These trains are so short, it doesn't have to be much of a track. All right, so now got a pretty decent little money making machine. Now we should go ahead, if we were trying to get that, go back to our objectives, trying to get this work faster, 200 days. You can do it if you don't mess up, but this has already been messed up. So I want to show you another thing where the real money comes from. We're going to build a track out of our station. In fact, let's just to show you another thing. Here's our Bowling Green station. We'll upgrade it to level 2, and then we'll upgrade again to level 3. Now at level 3, that's where you get the extra, the second track, and then you go up to level 5, which is the top, and you get all 3 tracks. So now we've got a fully upgraded deal here, and we are going to run out of this extra track over here, this new track. And we're going to go right up here to that logging camp and build a line up to it. Now, normally I'd buy that, but I'm not going to buy it because I want to show you how that works. So here's a logging camp. It's going to produce logs. All we have to do to make it start producing logs is get a train and go over here and figure out how big a load we think we can do. 21, 32, let's do 3 at a time. So we'll load 3 cars of logs in Lakeville, and then we will put them, notice I got a choice. I can put them against the city of Bowling Green or a small mill. Let's do the city first, and that way you can see. Let's get that thing going. And notice that our train has loaded up with logs, and we paid for the logs. We actually bought those logs from that logging camp. Now we're going to go down here to the sawmill, which we also do not own, and we're going to sell those logs to that sawmill for a good profit. So there, now we're making some money on logs. Well, I'm sorry, we sold them to the town, and we made $3,300 per boxcar. Now I'm going to do a little bit of double tracking. And set up another train just to show you the other way you can use this. We'll run 3 again. This time, instead of picking that, I'm going to pick the sawmill and say this order is for the sawmill. I could also mix it up, 2 here, 1 there, whatever I wanted to do. And we're going to say go. And now we've got a train that's going to load up our sawmill. Now the other thing we're going to do here is make sure that we have a repair shop on that line, and then we're going to take our 2 new trains and make sure that they have double click services repair, apply, get that next train, double click, apply. Now they both are set up to be serviced. So notice when this one gets in here, well, see, it's already sent us 1 load. Notice that lumber is being created. So what we can do now is grab another John Bull and say, okay, go get that lumber. Actually, we'll probably better only do a couple of them. And then go up here to folks that need lumber. Well, it just so happens Toledo or Louisville needs lumber. And if you're going to come back to get more, you might as well bring some people back with you. And if we have people in the train, we got to unload them in Bowling Green. And let's make sure that these are optional, the people that we're picking up. And we actually want this to be optional as well because it's a city station. And off he goes. And he grabs a couple of lumber, and he's going to take off up to Louisville. And there's some of our research is finishing up, so we can queue up some more. A couple of people on that. A couple of people on aging. A couple of people on that. There we go. So we're getting some decent research. So all these trains that we have out in the field are actually improving as we go along. So we are getting some of our objectives done. And maybe before I get fired, we better start on the actual mission. But notice our money now, 121,000. We're actually starting to get money. In fact, I want to do one more thing, just to, because it's there. We're going to buy another John Bull. We're going to set it up with the lumber. It's going to go up here where Cincinnati, which needs lumber. If you're in Cincinnati, might as well bring back some people. Unload those people in Bowling Green. We could make a stop in Louisville on the way if we wanted to, however we want to do it. And make sure that these are optional and these are optional in the city, and go. All right, so we're making money like it's going out of style now, given the little nature of this scenario. So let's actually do what we're supposed to do, which is deliver iron and coal to a steel mill. Well, there's a steel mill right here in Barnstabletown. So we need to be able to get a line from this coal mine here and from this ore here into Barnstable. Well, we can't just go out there and build mines. We have to connect off of our existing stations or our existing track. So what we're going to do here is put a little line like this and connect that, into this coal ore station, and we'll have to let it run until the train clears. There we go. And it's important that you set it up so that you've got a route from your depot directly to where you're trying to go with that. Now we want this line to go on over here and hook up with Barnstabletown. Then we want the Barnstabletown to go on over here and hook up with our iron ore. And let's pause it for a second. All right, so now we want to double track, because we're making money now. We're going to throw some trains at it. More the way I like to do it. All right. So we'll double track that side, and we will double track the other side. We will also set up repairs in Barnstabletown. One upgrade, new facility, install repairs. And we'll set up our iron ore first. So we're going to have John Bull. We want that John Bull to go out here and pick up iron ore. And I think we do one more, it's going to be too slow. Yep. So we can do a couple of ore. Drop them off at Barnstabletown, get serviced, do that again, and now I would be tempted to just go bang bang and quickly duplicate those until the game is better. Don't do that. Give it a little moment. Let that first train get out of there, So we'll let train 13 kind of clear, then we'll do a copy. Notice it's getting busy down here. There he goes. Now we're going to copy him. Throw another John Bull out there. And we're going to improve this station. And we're going to put in another repair shop. And we're going to put in more filling stations so that these trains can come in and get their improvements quicker. Now we want to look at this. I want to run another one. So copy. Copy. John Bull. Okay. Now we want to set up another route that says we want a John Bull to go get coal. And take that coal over to the steel mill. There he goes, so we'll copy him. And this T11, what is he doing? Yeah, we're too busy here because everybody's coming out of the same track. This is why I love double tracking. Okay, we've already hit our goal up there, so now we need to ship steel to Cincinnati. So let's pause this thing again. That was fast. See, we missed our super fast bonus. And this tells us we've done the iron ore. Oh, the iron ore must be the trigger. The coal is not quite there yet. So now we need to deliver steel to Cincinnati. So we got lots of options here, but the steel is right here in our mill in Barnstabletown. And we can do whatever we want to get it up there. Oh, what do we want to do? Let's just take advantage of our double track and the bridge we've got. Let's just go out the back of Winchester. I'm going to track leg. I'll click on that. Pull like so. And we'll work our way up here. Now we can either, and it's not an issue really, we could just link into that line like that. Or we could expand Cincinnati and give us a dedicated track. Let's expand Cincinnati. The Cincinnati station. A couple of times. Of course, it puts it on the wrong side, so we'll expand it all the way. Now we can go from out of that one, dedicated line. Come on down here. And we got money now, so now we can double track it. And the double tracking works reasonably well. It doesn't handle curves terribly well, so you have to kind of click it on points and really guide what you want to happen here. Like right here, I have to click it around that curve. But now I can just slide it up till it hooks in, and there we go. Now we've got a double track from Winchester up. So now we can set up our trains. Well, I just spent a whole bunch of money without paying any attention. Lucky I didn't go broke. So let's wait till we get some cash back. Fortunately, we've got 4. Oh, that just shows one more thing where you could really make some money. The post, we've got these cities are big enough to have a post office. We could run a postal train and make a bunch of money on that as well. There we go. Our money came back pretty quickly. So let's set up a train, a John Bull. We're going to say we want you to go to the steel mill and grab steel. And we want you to go up here to, now this is another special thing. Notice the $ sign on this, that's a contract deal. Cincinnati doesn't normally need steel, but this is a special contract to take it to a warehouse. So we're going to say grab it and go, give it some service, send it on its way. Go back down here to Bowling Green and wait for it to get out on the road. It says it's moving, so let's copy it and put another one out there. It's next in line to go. There we go. So we got a couple of trains delivering the steel. We're continuing to feed the coal and ore into the steel mill, so it continues to produce. Every time it has one of each, it'll produce another some more steel. And we're starting to deliver to Cincinnati. We've completed our coal delivery. We've got another bonus if we can get done in 260 days, which we'll do very easily. So while we're waiting, let's go ahead and set up another John Bull, and this time we want to run post. We want to carry mail between these two large cities. And apply. There we go. And as you can see, this line down here absolutely should be double tracked. And now it basically is. How are we doing up here? So we got 4 out of 5. So when this train goes up here, we will have finished the first mission successfully. And we did everything but the super speed bonus, and of course we got all messed up there, and I did some extra spending and some showing of stuff. So here we go. So there's a success on our first one. We did our technology investment. We delivered iron and coal. We managed to set up our research. We built another repair shop. We actually had already built one. They should give you credit for it, but they didn't. So I built another one. We went pretty fast, and we delivered steel to Cincinnati. So there you go. There's our first look at Railroad Corporation. I think it's going to be a good game. It does have some things that they need to fix, but again, it's early access. So I'm going to keep going with it. The next one, we'll do the second mission, and we'll introduce a few more concepts, a few more game mechanics into our play. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Railroad Corporation video. Thank you.